What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. Welcome back to another preview video. This is where, of course, we chuck on a game of Rugby 22 in the background of the teams that are going to be playing this weekend in the Six Nations. And then over the top, we're going to be talking about the official teams that have been announced that are going to be playing in this game, having a look through the teams, who we think is going to do well, who we think is going to do badly, and finally give a score prediction on how we think this game's going to go in real life. This is going to be the first game of the weekend, although it's not the first video I've done for the weekend because France and Ireland announced their teams first, so make sure you go check out that preview as well. But this game will be a fantastic way to start off the weekend, so let's get this game kicked off and underway. Alrighty, Dan Big will get us started off. We're going to kick off to the right, get a little bit of a bomb, see if we can recover it. Let's just see quickly. And Navidi manages to pick it up. Not that he'll be playing in the real life game. So, Wales versus Scotland, one of the funnest matches I think in the Six Nations calendar. It's one I really enjoy as a Wales supporter. It's the one I've probably gone to see the most in terms of live rugby, actually going to see it. Wales versus Scotland is always a lot of fun. Done a lot of travelling up to Edinburgh to go watch these games. Been to the Principality loads to go see these games. Really, really enjoy it. And last year this was an incredibly tight game. A red card for Scotland, some very tight scores. Really, both teams absolutely going for this one, and I don't think it's going to be very different this year. Who should we talk about? Let's talk about Wales first. Everyone knows how much I enjoy ranting about Wales and how they do in the world of rugby. So let's start off talking about Wales. So last week, Wales, of course, played Ireland and just got decimated by Ireland. As a Wales supporter, it was quite tough to watch. This team that won the Six Nations last year and for the last few years has been in really good form for rugby, just sort of slipping away. Everything was going wrong for them. The lineouts were terrible. The scrummaging wasn't working for them. The breakdown situations, they were getting beaten. Open running play was awful. The defensive work was terrible. Ireland just carved through them all the time. They were playing about one or two phases before just kicking the ball to Ireland. They seem to have a lack of direction. Just pretty much every area of that game going wrong for them. They came away with 7 points due to Tame Basham, one of the standout players of last week, actually put in a good shift, imagine, to get himself a try through a bit of a lucky loose ball from Tyg Byrne. But arguably, I can agree with a lot of people thinking maybe Wales probably didn't even deserve to score that 7 points. Going into this Scotland game, they need to make a lot of improvements in every area I just mentioned. So let's hope they've taken a lot of information away from that game and are going to work on this new team. So let's check out the team that they've announced to actually go on to play Scotland this week. Starting off in this front row, we have Wyn Jones, Ryan Elias and Tom Francis. So no changes here, I don't believe. I think Tom Francis was in last week. Going to be the same front row. Ryan Elias again. I don't know what it is with Ryan Elias, but he just struggles so much in doing the things a hooker needs to do. The scrummaging never seems to work well for him. The lineouts are pretty poor from him. In terms of running play, he seems very confident running with the ball in hand, but what you need a hooker to do is those specific things, and he just doesn't seem to be landing it for me. I actually thought when Lake came on last week, it got better. I'm surprised to not see Lake starting here. It's going to be a bit of a shame. Hopefully that front row can improve from last week. In terms of the lock positions, Will Rowlands will retain that 4 shirt, and Adam Beard will take the 5 shirt again, going in as vice-captain this week, Adam Beard. So, you know, hopefully he can have a slightly better game. Will Rowlands, as I said last week, just penalties, just giving away penalties. There was 2 or 3 penalties given away by Will Rowlands last week in really convenient areas for Ireland, which are really annoying. You know, within your own 22, especially within your own half, getting towards the 5 metre line, just not rolling away, not releasing the tackler, stuff that can easily be avoided, but he just seems to get a little bit stressed out and just sort of engages in it immediately. So I really hope he would stop giving away so many penalties, but I think the lock department is a bit of an issue for Wales at the moment, especially on the international scene. Looking at the back row, Tame Basham going in there in the 6 shirt this week rather than in the 7 shirt, because Jack Morgan coming in, an Ospreys boy, nice to see him coming in here. I believe he's making his debut. I haven't got that on my list written down here, but I believe he is having his debut. And Ross Moriarty going in there in the 8 shirt. So it's a bit of a... It's a little bit more of a technical. This is a bit more like, I would say, like a normal Wales back 3. You've got a power number 8 with much more technical 6-7 flankers. So that's a little bit nicer. I think that'll be a little bit more settled. I think Ellis Jenkins didn't play appallingly last week. But I don't think this is necessarily a bad switch out. Ross Moriarty going at 8. It's hard to know what they're going to do. There just seemed to be no game plan last week. It's quite hard to build analysis and try and do a preview for this week based on the Wales performance last week. I didn't know what they were attempting to do at almost any point in that game. So hard to know where the game plan's going to change for this one. Aaron Wainwright didn't really get to do a lot with the ball. I don't know what Moriarty would have done with the ball last week that would be different to him having it this week, so not really sure if the switch is necessary, but maybe they'll look in that second half to put Aaron Wainwright on. He may even come on for Jack Morgan and then have Tame Basher move to 7 and Aaron Wainwright will move into 6, and it might go to what we used to see in the Wales squad, or they might put him on at 8C, Moriarty moved to 6, and we'll have the Dragon set up. That could always be a way that goes. But in terms of a number 1 to 8, this is, again, it seems like they're just trying to get the best of what they have left, unfortunately, for this Wales team. It's certainly not the strongest 1 to 8 you'll see in Wales if everyone was fit and ready to go. Hopefully, it will be able to hold out. The Scotland team was doing okay against England, so it'll be interesting to see how they cope with it. In terms of the half-back partnership, Thomas Williams and Dan Biggar both retaining their positions. Dan Biggar retaining the captaincy. Saw quite a lot of negative stuff online about Dan Biggar as captain. I think it was very harsh to give Dan Biggar that captaincy for last week. He seemed to be one of the few people actually that I saw having quite a lot of energy in that game, really trying to get the team going, and everyone around him just seemed very slumped, very slow. I don't think that's Dan Biggar's fault. He seemed one of the only people really trying to give it energy, but just need to keep down the kicking. I don't know what it is with the scrum halves and fly halves in Wales. They just love kicking the ball to the other team, and especially a team like Ireland who love holding on to the ball. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, so hopefully they keep the kicking down a little bit. In terms of the centre partnership, bit of a swap here. Nick Tompkins still retaining that 12 shirt, and Owen Watkin going in the outside centre in the 13 shirt now. Both of these lads can play 12 and 13, so it's not that bad to say interchangeable. Personally, I would have liked to have seen it the other way around, because Owen Watkin used to play quite a lot on the inside centre with Jonathan Davis on the outside centre, so he's got plenty of experience there. I know he can play both, but I do prefer Nick Tompkins in 13 over 12, so personally I would like to see that swap round. Maybe they'll swap in the game. We did see in that Wales-Ireland game a lot of the wingers swapping around, so just because they have those shirt numbers on doesn't really mean that's going to be the exact way they're going to play in the game. They absolutely could swap up when they're actually in live game. And then finally this back three, Rhys Zammit on the left wing, Alex Cuthbert coming in on the right wing, and Liam Williams in that 15 shirt. Now, Josh Adams last week in that 13 shirt absolutely did not work out as I predicted in the preview video. I thought it was going to go wrong. It did go wrong. It wasn't working very well. Nick Tompkins had to cover him an awful lot. Josh Adams got angry. Josh Adams basically face smashing Johnny Sexton. It didn't really work. Interesting call here to put Cuthbert on the wing as opposed to just taking Josh Adams away from that centre channel. Don't know if there's an injury because he's not even named on the team list. Personally, for me, if you're not going to play Adams at centre, he's a world-class winger. Put him back on the wing. I don't really know what this decision is. Rhys Zammit, I thought actually had a really good game against Ireland. It was just all defensive. That's just not what you want to see from Zammit. You want to see the attacking side of Zammit, the speed, the aggression, the kicking over the top, all that. We didn't get to see any of that, but the defensive rate is really good from him. It's really nice to see that he's got quite a vast game range. So good to see the defensive work there. Liam Williams, again, was quiet last week. Hopefully he'll have a better game. Alex Cuthbert on that 14 shirt now. Oh, I'm not sure about this one. I don't know if this is a great call. Of course, Cuthbert, at one point was in the prime. Cuthbert then fell off quite a lot from the Wales shirt area. Like, he wasn't really getting picked for the team when he did play. It wasn't necessarily the best performances. He got a lot of negative criticism in the media and stuff, which I don't really think is fair. Everyone has bad days, but unfortunately for him, it's sort of compounded errors. Now, going into this game specifically, I'm not sure if Alex Cuthbert's going to be able to hold up defensively against either Duhan van der Merwe or Darcy Graham, depending on which way around Scotland fancy just chucking it at him. I absolutely see Duhan van der Merwe just smashing his way through Alex Cuthbert, and I see Darcy Graham absolutely being able to outpace and outstep Alex Cuthbert. For some reason, he loves cutting inside when he's playing out on the wing defensively. I have no idea why. For some reason, he just doesn't believe the centres are going to make the tackles, and instead cuts inside massively and leaves the winger exposed, which for either Darcy Graham or Duhan van der Merwe is an absolute open door for a try. So I really hope we don't see that this week. but that for me could be a bit of a weak link. As we are now getting towards that second half, we will of course talk about the replacement. Starting off with this front row, Dewi Lake, Gareth Thomas and Dylan Lewis in that front row. Now Lake, I thought had a good game. He came on, he sorted that line out, the scrummaging. It was still buckling, not necessarily just his fault, but he certainly sorted it out a little bit. The scrummaging got better. The lineouts is the more specific one. I'm really surprised to not be seeing Lake start this week. Thought he had a good game. Would really like to see a little bit more from him. The rest of the replacement forward, Seb Davis going to go in that 19 shirt, and Aaron Wainwright, as I've already mentioned, in that 20 shirt, can come on at 8 or 6. We'll see how they all swap around in that second half at some point. Replacement scrum half, Gareth Davis. Replacement fly half, Sheedy. And in that 23 shirt, Jonathan Davis, again, still going in here. So they still want to try and back this centre partnership up. I think this is a really, really big call because it means they've got no replacements now for that back three. I believe Sheedy has limited experience in playing fullback if he absolutely needs to. But if Cuthbert's not performing, if Reece Zammit goes out with an injury, what are you going to do there? I'm not sure who moves to the wing because I'm not sure how they're going to try and organise that. I mean, Liam Williams can move to a wing, but then he needs a replacement fullback. Personally, for me here, I would have liked to have seen Josh Adams on the bench just because he has played fullback, he has played wing, and if you're desperate to have him play the centre position, why not have him there and cover the centre channel as well, which is exactly what Jonathan Davis is going to do anyway. I don't really see Jonathan Davis coming on from that bench and necessarily turning the game around if it's not going your way, but of course I can always be proved wrong. So in terms of a Wales team, it's not the best it can be, but it might be the best they have currently, which is is painful for me as a Wales supporter to say. But of course, going into this game, we did talk about the Scotland team. Scotland team beating England last week, winning that Calcutta Cup, looking good. I actually thought England maybe even looked a little bit better, but they came away with that win. Of course, we saw Luke Cowan-Dickie volleyballing out into touch, which was the weirdest decision ever. But a lot of that Scotland players playing very, very well. Hamish Watson had a really good game. Darcy Graham played really well. Duan van der Merwe back on the counter running. Ali Price was getting the ball out quick. There's a lot of positives for this Scotland team to be taken away. Beating England twice on the bounce now. And they will be annoyed about that Wales game last year. I know a lot of the Scotland subscribers on the channel believe it should have been a Scotland win, so I can absolutely believe Scotland are going to go for this one. So checking out the team then, starting out in this front row, Pierre Schoeman moves into that number 1 shirt, Stuart McAnally in the hooker, and WP Nell. So a little bit of a switch around in this front row, but obviously they will have seen that this Wales pack is not the best it can be in terms of the scrummaging, so load up with the big boys first. I absolutely agree with that. I think that's a good move. Try and put the weight behind them and just start putting pressure on. Get the referee on your side, start winning penalties at the scrum. I don't think that's a bad move at all. In the lock positions then, we've got Johnny Gray in on the 4 shirt and Grant Gilchrist, who played a really good game last week, doing a lot of the nitty-gritty work that no one really talks about in the world of rugby. I did actually see someone pick one of them for their team of the week. Got Grant Gilchrist in there. I think he played a really good game. Hopefully they can keep it going well. The actual line-out for Scotland wasn't terrible, if I remember rightly off the top of my head, so I think against Wales, line-outs could be a real issue for them. In the back row, Sam Skinner comes in on that 6 shirt. Of course, now Jamie Ritchie obviously picked up a bit of an injury in that last game, so it's a shame for him. Hamish Watson remains in that 7 shirt, and Matt Ferguson at 8, both of which played very well last week. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them involved an awful lot this week, especially in the breakdown areas, trying to find those turnovers. In the halfback partnership, Ali Price and Finn Russell both retaining their positions. Got no concerns, to be fair. Ali Price was getting the ball out relatively quickly. Finn Russell's kicking. Certainly a couple of kicks that I thought were going to lead to nothing, but they come away with the points, and that's all that matters. You know, that crossfield kick that went to Cowan-Dickie, you know, to me it was a bit of a nothing call, but it worked well for them. You know, if you can get those kicks away, as Finn Russell does, the wild card, absolutely worth going for them. In the centre partnership, Tui Pelotu comes in on the inside centre. This is something I did sort of expect. I know he didn't get to start last game, but I did maybe think he was going to be starting this game. Really looking forward to see the impact he has on the world of international rugby, playing very well at club level. And Chris Harris in that 13 shirt, going to be very different setups. Tui Pelotu about going forwards. Chris Harris, very good in the defensive work now, nice to see. And then that back 3, Duan van der Merwe, Darcy Graham and Stuart Hogg as the captain. So yeah, like I've already said, I think that winger position could be, it looks like it's going to be Duan van der Merwe going up against Cuthbert. I've got a feeling that Duan van der Merwe might be dominating that wing all day long. I think Scotland will be very happy to see Cuthbert named on that wing. and would absolutely be sending everyone at him just to try and knock him down a bit before that second half and then let them open up. I think it's going to be a long, long day for Cuthbert. We are slowly getting towards the end of the game now, so we will of course talk about the replacements for Scotland, starting out with the front row replacements. George Turner, who, you know, he'll be looking forward to getting on in that second half just to try and get some tries. We didn't really get to see any mauling tries across the weekend, to be honest. It'd be nice to see him back in. Rory Sutherland and Xander Fagerson. So basically they've done a bit of swap around from last week. Don't think that's a bad move. You know, you're still trying to work out who you want your starting front three to be. I think this bench lot is a lot more technical than the starting boys. The starting boys are a bit just heavier, got a bit more weight to them. I think this is a technical bench. I don't think that's a bad move. Replacement forwards, we've got Magnus Bradbury and Rory Darge, who, again, not a player you get to see a lot from on the international scene, but I'm really looking forward to seeing a couple of games from him at club level, and he's dangerous with the ball in hand. So looking forward to see him get on the pitch at some point in that second half. Ben White, who had a good game last week, is the replacement scrum half, getting himself a try, and then had to get taken back off after 10 minutes, which was quite interesting. Blair Kinghorn in that replacement 22 shirt, of course, covering every area you could ever need him to. And in the 23 shirt, Cameron Redpath back in this team, which is nice. Now, I'm sure a couple of the Scotland subscribers will be able to correct me if I'm wrong. For me, when I think of Cameron Redpath, I think of an inside centre more than an outside centre, so I assume he's coming on for Tui Pelotu at some point in that second half. But nice to see him. Young lad, got a bit of speed on him. So I think Scotland may be considering this game's going to be a forward first half and then an outright back sprinting second half. So the second half might be where we see a lot of tries. So as we talk about in every single one of these videos, the terms of the score prediction. It's going to be another tough one. I had a tough one calling the France-Ireland one. I think I may have already picked wrong there. I think maybe the odds going into this game might be slightly in favour of Wales just for playing at home and still the current Six Nations champions. But for me, I'm going to lean towards Scotland. I've got a feeling Scotland are going to be able to take this one. It's just that Wales defence just didn't seem to be holding up at all against Ireland, and I think if Scotland can smell the blood in the water, they'll go for the speedy attack. So I'm going to say Scotland to win. I'm going to say Scotland to win. Maybe it'll reach slightly more than a score. I'm thinking 7 or 8. I've got to pick one. Let's say 8. I'm going to say Scotland to win by 8. I already disagree with that decision. I think it'll be less. But for now, I've already said it. I've already said it in the video. It's going to be Scotland to win by 8 is going to be the prediction. But of course, guys, I'm but one man talking nonsense about rugby on the internet. So make sure you guys drop down in the comments who you think will win, who you think the score difference will be, who do you think scoring the tries, all that fun stuff. Like I said, we've already done one of these for the France-Ireland game, so make sure to go check out that video as well. And we will be doing these preview videos for every game of the Six Nations as it goes on. So make sure you subscribe just to keep up to date with all the latest videos as they come out. I hope you've all enjoyed today, guys. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.